Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to change the way the world eats. My name is Shurina. I'm a certified nutritionist, health, nutrition, brain performance coach, and just someone with a lot of passion for helping you guys to learn how to use nutrition and lifestyle tools to feel, look, and do your absolute best. Guys, as promised, on today's podcast, I'm going to share with you takeaways from yesterday's Focus Masterclass that I did here in Playa del Carmen. And stay tuned to learn, for example, was a very popular question, how to not procrastinate when you need to get back to work. Like, for example, you've been working on something and then you feel you need to take a break. And then after you find it difficult to get back to work, like you're taking 2 longer breaks and then, start doing all the smaller things instead of working on that project or thing that you need to finish. Like how to deal with that kind of procrastination. Or another one, when you keep delaying that work on a bigger project, like, it's tomorrow and the next week or next month, like how to actually start. What are the most effective couple of tools? So stay tuned to learn about that at the end. Because at the beginning, guys, I want to share with you the most effective tools from the biology department. You see, your brain is not separate from your body. You probably, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you already know that there are quite a few things that are affecting the way you feel, the way your brain works. And so if you don't lay certain things as a foundation, all the other things, they won't matter, especially not long term. Maybe you fix 1 or 2 things for a couple of times, but then you kind of going to be dealing with the same problem if the reason is biology. So first, you need to put in place certain habits that allow your body and your brain to work the best from the biological perspective. And then when you start laying on top of that all the other cognitive and behavioral tools, they will work like magic. But before that, again, any tool will be a struggle if you don't put the biological foundation first. So, and the biological foundation of focused mind, focused brain, when it's easy for you to do the work, to focus on the challenging tasks and to continue even when it's challenging and to finish your work and to get deeper insights, to learn better. Focus is very important for focus, for learning and memory, for getting better at skills. So if you want to get that kind of focus, first and foremost, you got to sleep and you got to have proper, consistent light exposure. So if your sleep is all over the place and the quality of your sleep suffers, like you wake up and you're never fresh and it's hard for you to get to bed on the same schedule and it's hard for you to stay in bed and to fall asleep and you wake up many times throughout the day, it's going to be super, super, super hard to focus, to learn, to memorize, and to have at your fingerprints or whatever word you'd like to use, your full brain's capacity, right? We don't use just 10% of our brain. Well, maybe some people do, but most of us use quite a lot of our brain. But it depends on your lifestyle, on your habits, on the choices you do when it comes to your environment. So foundation for a focused brain is sleep and light exposure. And there are now more than enough resources. And if you'd like me to coach you through sleep foundation, through all the things that you need to take care of, in a weekend or short, maybe 1-day masterclass, then please do reach out. I do that skill building now where I actually teach you a very specific skill over the course of a day at 2, and then support you for a week or 2 after that. So you for sure install these new habits, right? So if you need help with building that sleep foundation, please do reach out. A lot of times by yourself, it's going to be super hard for you to change habits, especially if you're not really sure how to do it and what actually works and what doesn't. So reach out if you need help with that. Then light exposure, quite easy actually. Easy, not easy. Easy because it's simple. but not easy, because there are many things that you do in your lifestyle that might be interfering with that, and you need to think about your priorities. So that might make it difficult. Other than that, light exposure, as soon as you get up, get your ass out there, because some brain chemicals like dopamine that are required for focused attention, also a lot of feel good brain chemicals like serotonin, they depend on light exposure that you only get outside. So get outside for a 30-minute walk as soon as you get up. And, yesterday on our masterclass, I got questioned about, sometimes it's hard for me to wake up and get going. What do I do? So one of the best things you can do is wake up and get out there and go for a walk. Obviously, when the sun is out, when the light is out, and if it's still dark, then turn on all the light, do a few burpees, seriously, take a cold shower, and if you need to be working as soon as you wake up, get one of those circadian lamps. They're super cheap, available on Amazon, ships almost globally. So get one of those circadian lamps with certain intensity. It's about 10,000 LUX, and that will be, in a sense, quite similar to what you get outside. Of course, nowhere as good as sun, but the next best thing. So get one of those lamps. But again, one of the best things is getting outside for 30 minutes as soon as the sun is out, as soon as you wake up. So one of the foundational practices for focus. And again, because some of your focused brain chemicals depend on that light exposure. Your light register that light and transfer that signal into your brain, and your brain starts producing certain chemicals based on that sensory information. So that's number one. That is the foundation, sleep and light, right? If you don't do that consistently, all the other things going to be hard. Then when it comes to nutrition, protein and carbohydrates. For a high-performing, focused brain, it's very important to get those nutrients. Carbohydrates to help your brain, your body to maintain stable blood sugar. And here, you don't choose fast carbohydrates, lots of added sugars, breakfast cereals, orange juice, all of that will spike your blood sugar, and then your blood sugar will fall, and that will create energy roller coaster, attention, focus roller coaster. So you want to choose carbs that last long, that are with fiber, that do not cause blood sugar spikes and falls, but kind of consistently maintain it at the same level. So the more fiber you get in that carbohydrate source, the better. So the best, sources with fiber are lentils and beans. So if you like to try those for breakfast, that might be one of the best solutions. A lot of people like oats. Some people don't do that well with oats, but make sure that those oats, they do not have added sugars. Some people do quite well with fruit, because fruit also actually, especially if you have a healthy metabolism, doesn't really spike your blood sugar because it's processed differently than, let's say, from glucose. But we're not going to get into all these biochemical details. Just whole fruit, not juices, not smoothies, work for a lot of people. Here, you don't want to overdo it. Maybe a banana, maybe, an apple, something like that. What are some other good sources? Sweet potatoes or regular potatoes. If you choose as a source of your carbohydrates some toast, make sure that is some brown whole grain toast that again takes a longer time to be processed with as much fiber as possible. Again, we want to combine that carbohydrate source for stable blood sugar with a lot of fiber. And of course, preferably from whole foods with a lot of colors for all the additional nutrients and antioxidants that your brain does need to protect itself from all the rich electrical activity. So carbohydrate. And number 2, protein. You need to be eating your protein, guys. Not only your brain chemicals of focus and attention, and a lot of other brain chemicals are created from certain amino acids found in protein. Not only that, but you need protein for everything that is happening in your body. It's not just for muscles. Everything in our body is either made out of protein or made with protein. Even energy creation processes do need protein, right? So you need to consistently, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, consume your protein if you are interested in maintaining a high level of focus. Animal protein is much better quality when it comes to creation of all of these neurotransmitters. Specifically, dopamine, that is important for focused attention. It requires certain amino acid that mostly found abundantly in animal products. And I usually recommend to shoot for 30 grams of animal-based protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, at least that. And the easiest way to get it, one of the easiest ways are things like chicken or turkey. Salmon is amazing for dopamine for many reasons. I'm not going to go into all the details, but like 5 ounces, 150 grams of salmon for breakfast, maybe with a couple of eggs that have additional chemicals that is needed to create focused attention, specifically acetylcholine. If you are familiar with any of the brain chemicals and neurotransmitters, right? So some salmon, some eggs, that is amazing. By the way, eggs are not that rich in protein. One egg is just about 6 grams. And as I said, it is recommended to get about 30 grams. So you can imagine you'll need to eat like 5 eggs if you just eggs alone. In comparison, a piece of salmon is about 22 grams of protein. And again, I'm talking about 5 ounce, 150 grams. So maybe an egg, some salmon, some avocado whole grain toast, if you'd like, and you're good to go. Your brain will be, singing and humming and staying focused, alert, and giving you the best potential to deliver amazing work. So nutrition matters. And for breakfast especially, you want to remember long-lasting carbohydrates, sufficient amount of protein. And especially women tend to go vegan, vegetarian. Now, these days also a lot of guys do that. But please do remember that not protein is the same at all when it comes to amino acids. Our brain is very specific when it comes to the kind of protein it needs to stay focused and to learn and to develop better. So animal protein again works better, and you can't just eat some, you need to eat more, because not just your brain needs protein, again, your whole body. And another thing, if on the workshop yesterday, I was also asked, what about if I just don't feel motivated and that's why I don't really have focus? It just, it's hard to get started, or I feel like blah, what do I do? Well, a lot of it also has to do with protein, believe it or not, guys. Even you not feeling like doing things, like you are low on energy, it has to do with low protein amount. Yesterday also, we talked about some supplements that have those specific amino acids needed to create dopamine and important for focused attention. So one of those supplements is an amino acid L-tyrosine, taking in isolated form, 500 milligrams. Try that. It takes about 20 minutes for it to start. And what you experience is you want to do things, like you feel active. That's how you know that L-tyrosine works. For me, I'm kind of already on a higher level of dopamine. And for me, L-tyrosine is just too much. Plus, I am eating sufficient amount of protein. So I never feel like I need that. My motivation levels are high. And so for me, when I tried L-tyrosine, I actually felt over the edge, like I drank too much coffee. I was just super excited, and it was actually hard to sit down and get certain things done, especially the things that require that perfect, balance between being motivated and excited, but also kind of calm. So it's easier for you to stay focused on one task instead of being all over the place, right? So if that happens to be the case for you too, you might make the dose smaller, instead of 500 milligrams, 250. Or if it doesn't exactly work, you might try go for 1 gram. Sometimes some people's brain do need that. And see how you go. And again, it's an amino acid. It's not a stimulant. It's not some sort of drug. It's a thing that you find in foods. It's in more concentrated form. And again, if you are having troubles eating your protein, well, first of all, I do recommend to develop that skill of eating enough protein. Maybe protein powder might be a good idea. But as a faster solution, L-tyrosine might be also something that you might look into, and it's available on Amazon or basically anywhere where supplements are, especially the brain supplements. So we talked about that supplement. We also talked about alpha GPC that is also important for another neurotransmitter of focus, acetylcholine, and alpha GPC is made in the brain into that neurotransmitter and seems to be working the best for the brain when it comes to creation of that focused attention state. So that's on the nutrition part. And of course, not eating junk that can cause brain fog, making sure that you hydrate enough. To give you an example, in the first couple of 2-3 hours of waking, I consume a liter of water, and then kind of every 3 hours, at least half a liter of water. So sometimes people really, very often do not hydrate well. They think, well, I'm drinking water. Well, might not be enough, until you start peeing excessively. I don't believe you are drinking enough or more than you think. Anyhow, so that's on nutrition part. What's also very important for a high-performing, focused brain is to maintain high blood circulation and oxygenation in your brain. Your brain is thirsty for energy, for blood with all the nutrients, for oxygen. And when your oxygen levels go down, when your blood circulation go down, your brain starts having troubles focusing and learning and keep you alert and awake. You kind of start feeling sleepy. To prevent that, number one, take breaks. And in those breaks, approximately every 30 minutes is a good time frame. You want to do something active. It doesn't have to be a lot. Don't turn it into a workout. A few squats, literally 2-3, a few burpees, walk a flight of stairs. That's all your brain needs to start that blood pumping and that oxygen to be delivered to your brain and to all of your other tissues and organs in your body. Not just your brain going to get better, everything going to get better, right? Every 30 minutes. It's been shown by NASA research that that's the time frame that is important, that seems to be good for improving and optimizing blood circulation and delivery of nutrients and oxygen to all of your tissues and organs, your brain included. So breaks are important. And breaks are also important for prolonged focus. So you refresh the pool of certain brain chemicals important to create those states like focus and attention. And by breaks, I mean disconnection, letting your brain to do nothing and to rest. Meditation, yoga nidra, nap work really well for that. What doesn't work well is looking at your phone and scrolling social media or answering messages or doing anything that still keeps your brain engaged. You are not resting, you just switched the tasks. And that's why when you get back to your work, you don't feel rested mentally. Because you did something that felt like fun, but your brain was still active. The same region of the brain that was engaged in your work was still active while you were texting and checking your messages. So if you are resting, quote unquote, with your device, that is not resting for your brain. And that's why you might find it hard to work continuously throughout the day. Speaking of devices, that all of the participants in yesterday's workshop confirmed that they also noticed, and it's confirmed by science, when your device is beeping, having any sorts of noise or blinking, that's going to decrease the amount of focus you have for work. Your cognitive resources going to be diverted partially to management cognitively of that device. So the best practice is turn all the sounds off and put your phone in the other room or in some drawer, cardboard, hide it. That's the basic idea so you don't see it. They did studies and they've shown that people perform the best when they don't see and don't register their phone at all. So do whatever you need to do before focus bout of work or learning, and then put your device without any sounds, hide it so you don't even see it. So that's the best practice. And also when it comes to your computer, your laptop, Don't forget to delete all the tabs on all the apps that might be making sounds and notifications, etc. Every time that happens, your attention is diverted. And again, you have to spend more cognitive resources on the same task, and you're not going to be as effective. So ideally, again, you just have one app that you're working in open and the rest is off. A lot of people also experience that peculiar thing when you're working on something, you're like researching or doing some work, there is like a thought, an idea pops into your mind, like, let me look up how much is traveling to Bulgaria cost, because I don't know, you've been writing or reading about Bulgaria, right? And you just wondered. So what you do is you take a piece of paper, you write down that idea, research flight prices to Bulgaria, and then you continue working. Whenever a thought pops into your mind, you don't go and research, because again, that's going to make it harder for you to get to focus, to get to deeper insight. You write it down and you keep working. And then once you're on your break, before starting your break, or actually not before starting your break, but before starting another bout of work, that's what you do. Do that research then. Dedicate specific time to that. Don't steal the quality of your work with that really unimportant research. So that's another thing that came up. So we talked about movement, breaks, breathing. That's another thing that is amazing to improve blood circulation, to increase your alertness level, your wakefulness, because it actually specific kind of breathing increases the amount of norepinephrine or adrenaline in your brain. One of the functions or abilities of which is to keep you awake and alert. So if you want to be more awake and alert, especially later in the day during afternoon hours, what you do is you do a couple of cycles of hyperventilation breathing. Sometimes it's also referred as to Wim Hof breathing. So basically it sounds like this. You heard me doing that on this podcast many, many times. So fast breathe-ins and even faster breathe-outs. Hyperventilation, kind of like you would breathe when you are doing a lot of exercise or you're running or rushing, right? So that adrenaline kind of breathing, it does stimulate your adrenaline, and that gives you that jolt of wakefulness, and then you're more alert, awake, and focused to do the work that's needed to be done. Try it. Whenever you feel sleepy, believe me, it works, and it works better than coffee without all the side effects of coffee, especially if you decide to drink it later in the day. A couple of things about the environment that affects your focus. Light. When you are in a brightly lit space, it's going to be much easier for you to stay alert, awake, and focused. If you are in a dungeon, or the lighting of the place is really poor, it's going to be harder for you to stay focused, alert, and also you're going to start feeling kind of cranky. Again, your brain is very sensitive to light levels and illumination. So work in a bright place. Like I usually like working by the window, or, maybe you have glass doors. So light does matter, and it affects your ability to focus and learn and stay alert. And positive attitude also. Music helps. Specific kind of music that makes you feel more focused, not distracted. It helps a lot of people to focus for longer periods of times. Plus, music does stimulate dopamine, the one that is important for focus and for motivation to get things done. So music, again, choose the one that is not overwhelming, that you can be listening for hours, and it will help you to stay focused. It's kind of like your brain has additional point of reference where to focus. And once it has this kind of like background noise that is not really distracting or alarming, it's much easier also to maintain unifocus on the task at hand. And now we are getting back to the procrastination tools. Like, how do you decrease the amount of procrastination in two cases? Number one, okay, you've been working on this task and it does require additional work and you need to take a break. Maybe, have some food, disconnect, go for a walk, meditate. How do you get back to work faster without procrastination or wasting time or doing unimportant stuff. A very powerful way that kind of like a brain hack that you can do, and that has been shown effectiveness in many people, writers, just people doing a lot of kind of tedious, maybe not exciting, monotonous work. Also has been proven by neuroscience that it is based on the way our brain works, our nervous system works. So this tool is not finishing something before you go on your break. For writers, it can be as simple as not finishing that sentence or that paragraph. You're feeling very excited, it's flowing through you, so don't finish it. Don't finish that thought. Stop in the middle. Believe me, your brain will remember where you stop and probably will develop even better insights when you come back after the break. But because it's an unfinished business, there is always like dopamine released to finish whatever we start. Because if you're doing something, for the brain, it's kind of like a signal. Okay, we're doing something important. There's probably some reward at the end. Even, the sense of accomplishment of finishing stuff, it is already rewarding thing in itself. And so your brain does want to always finish things, actually. And so when you're in the middle of writing this paragraph or even one sentence, don't finish it. Just leave it there. Don't make any notes, nothing, and go on a break. And believe me, guys, you'll get into that work, back to work much, much faster. You create this open loop in your brain, and your brain wants to finish that, right? So leave it open, leave it unfinished, and go and do something. And then some people say, but I'm doing the work that I can't really finish in the middle. It's got to be kind of like finished before I go on a break. Then create an artificial task and put yourself in the middle. Maybe you need to order your groceries online, or maybe you need to order just a meal. Then do it halfway. Don't finish it. And in the brain, again, there's going to be that loop. So come back, finish it, and then continue working. And the second situation is when you have a bigger project and you find it difficult to start. You feel overwhelmed. Like I'm writing a book right now, and every time I start writing a chapter, it feels overwhelming. So what do? Break it down into smaller parts and make the first part very simple. So at the beginning, I set myself a goal to edit the last page of my writing, or I can come up with the names for the rest of the chapters. I love, coming up with names. Like it's something I really love. It feels easy. It feels creative. It feels simple. So I start doing that. And then while doing that, I'm like, well, now I have ideas to write. So the most important essence of this exercise is to make it easy to start and to complete some tiny portion of the bigger project. You can go even further and just break down the bigger project into very tiny pieces that feel like no work at all, and you are actually excited about accomplishing them, right? So whatever that big project is, create this beginning part, make it very clear, easy to finish. And so in your head, you're excited to start it, or you're like, oh, I can do that. When you have this like click in your brain, it's exciting. I know how to do it. I know how to finish it. And it doesn't have to be, sequential part. It can be like writing a conclusion to your book, whatever that can be that makes you want to start the related work. Do it, accomplish it. And then believe me, on that energy, you will continue doing the work. So that is the second hack or solution to your procrastination. But of course, guys, if you have a bigger project and you got to ask yourself, when is the best time to do that project? If it's sooner than later, ask yourself, okay, but why? Give your brain reasons why now is better than later. And if you have no reasons, then maybe indeed later is better, because sometimes they say, creative procrastination, when you wait sometimes, your brain comes out with some insights, some deeper insights that you didn't have before, because it has time to analyze everything that you have in your head, your life experiences. Maybe something else happens that triggers another jolt of innovation in your project, right? So ask yourself, is it really that necessary? Like, what is the actual deadline to deliver great quality of that specific task? You always want to dig deeper, not just, okay, this is the deadline I artificially created for some reason. That is not a good enough reason. You can't fool your brain. Your brain always knows when you're fooling yourself. So genuinely ask yourself, when is the best time? Why? And once you understand that, then use these other tools to start quick, to get back to work quick, and you're going to procrastinate much, much less, especially in a meaningful way. That's it for today, guys. Focus, it's a skill. And at the end of yesterday's workshop, I reminded everyone that the way to approach all these changes, that might be a lot, is to do it one at a time and make it simple and easy. Try something one for a week. Do it consistently, see how you do, see what changes, and then try something else. And again, as always, start with the foundation. Sleep and light, sleep and light. Before anything else, guys, sleep and light, sleep and light. And again, if you need help with building solid sleep habits by science, then book time with me and I'll walk you through what habits exactly you need in your specific case to work on, and what is the best way to do it so you actually do it, not just think about or try it and it doesn't work and you decide to never try it again, right? So reach out, Angela at brainbreakthroughcoach.com. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, guys. Happy focus. If you have any questions, please do reach out on any channel that you find me. Share this episode with people, with your team who might be struggling with focus. They might be struggling and not sharing it with you, right? But the work is not getting done. So share this episode with them. I appreciate all the shares of the knowledge. Share it, even if you don't share the podcast, share it as a skill, as a knowledge, in a way like, I heard, this on a podcast and I'm trying it this week. What do you think, right? Also team up on different habits and protocols, and you are much more likely to stick with them when you actually teach someone and you team up with someone. So just a few suggestions. And till next time, as usual, eat better daily.